Hey there, it's good to see you again. Let me just wash my hands while we're getting all set and introduced. I just have some good hand sanitizer here. Obviously, I know you already, but name and date of birth. Sleep. So we're going to talk about sleep today, right? I have some questions for you, and we'll do a physical exam. And I actually have been thinking and going over your chart, and I have some ideas that may already help. Yeah. Okay, let's get started. So, you gave me back my review of systems sheet, right? The kind of check-in sheet with all the questions about all the different possible systems. Starting with things like daytime fatigue, are you having headaches? Any kind of difficulty breathing during the day? Things like that, that whole list. It's a long list of stuff. I also asked about if you're having any eye itching, any ears ringing, any tinnitus, any runny nose, bloody nose, anything like that, sore throat, difficulty swallowing, heart palpitations, feeling dizzy when you stand up, feeling dizzy when you lie down, difficulty breathing when you lie down, difficulty breathing when you walk around, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, all the different stool questions. You got all that? All right, let me just check it right here. Make sure I've got all that. So let's go straight into the sleep. How regular are you? By this I mean, what time do you go to bed every night and what time do you wake up? Okay, so the first thing in trying to train, and I know some of this is going to be beginner stuff, and we're going to move on to the more advanced stuff later. First thing in trying to train your body to sleep, and this is speaking also as someone with insomnia and difficulty sleeping myself, right? So I've been through the gamut, and I also understand a lot of sleep medications and so forth from the point of view of a patient myself, right? So getting regular and having a routine is the first thing. It makes a huge difference in sleep. And then and literally at first it sucks, because at first you, like, especially if someone, like, I kind of have a circadian rhythm disorder, so you have a little bit something like that when you are going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time, regardless of whether or not you slept. It forces your body to start getting tired and sleeping at the right time, but it's not fun at the beginning. It's not fun at all. So sleep when you're sleepy. Do you try to sleep when you're not tired? Okay. Yeah. Try to only sleep when you're tired, which I know sounds weird. Do you, by the way, have any days, this is a separate question, it's kind of a mental health question, do you have any days where you just don't need to sleep for many days at a time? And then do you have swings where you go really, really down low, where you're really miserable and tired all the time? During these days of feeling like you don't need to sleep, are you kind of on top of the world, and do you ever engage in any at-risk behaviors like gambling or unsafe intercourse or other things like that? Or, illicit drug use, big changes in your behavior? So the reason I ask those is that sometimes bipolar disorder can be a problem with your sleeping, but you've got a mental health provider. Okay, good. So the other thing I wanted to ask is, when you can't sleep, what's the first thing that you do? Okay. So I think the first thing I would have an answer to that is to get up and try again. So rather than staying there and looking at the clock, don't look at the clock. It just makes you more stressed, doesn't it? And then you get angry at yourself because you're not sleeping. Do you ever catch yourself thinking like, oh, I'm going to have a terrible day tomorrow because it's already so late and I'm not sleeping? So that can actually make the sleep worse. If you can answer that thought with, oh yeah, and you're right, half of myself is painted one way. I just came back from a Comic-Con. I'm a real doctor. I do real things. I'm not on this perfect space cloud where all the other doctors live with their perfect lives and pretending to have no problems and no fun. What was I saying? That's right. So, when you get up and you try again, that's what I wanted to ask about. So when you get those thoughts that are like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to have a terrible day because I'm not sleeping now, try to answer them with, I'm able to survive this lack of sleep, and I can still make tomorrow a good day regardless of the sleep, because I am a BAMF, a beast and macho fiend. Right? It's difficult, but as you're lying there trying to survive that terrible, like almost painful moments of not sleeping, anytime you find yourself thinking tomorrow's going to be worthless because of today, just remind yourself, I'm still going to find one good thing out of tomorrow. I'm still going to do one good thing. It actually does help, because a lot of sleep issues have some, depends, some of, this is what we're figuring out today, right? Because some are biological, and some are biological in that they're psychological. Yeah. So, do you sit quietly for 20 minutes out of the bed? So what I mean for that is, you look at the clock and you're like, I need to not watch the clock. So you get up out of your bed and you're still dark, but maybe you do the dishes, maybe you quietly sit there and tell yourself a story, some other relaxing or productive activity in the dark around the house, maybe fold laundry, and then you come back 20 minutes later and go to sleep and lie down. Instead of clock watching, that's what I'm asking about. Do you clock watch, or do you get up and try again? Okay, getting up and trying again. That's good. Now, when is the last time in the day that you have caffeine or nicotine? Okay. Make sure it's no later than 3 p.m. When is the last time you have alcohol? This is a tough one. Actually, the recommendation is within 4 to 6 hours before bed. Yeah. So before 4 to 6 hours before bed. The reason for that is that alcohol is a depressant, so some people will use it right before they go to sleep because they think it's shutting things off. But because what it's actually doing is just suppressing something, it's not doing like melatonin does, you know, hitting in your pineal gland and telling your brain through natural processing, hey guys, it's time to sleep, let's turn on the immune system, let's do the things that we do while we're sleeping and work on body repair and other stuff like that. Alcohol doesn't do any of that. It's not specialized enough to do that. Alcohol is like if you take a faucet and instead of turning off the faucet, you put your hand over it. Well, as soon as your hand is off, the faucet is still going to be running. In order to turn off the faucet, you have to turn off the faucet, right? Alcohol, because it is a suppressant, because what it does is it actually, oh, you already know. Yeah, so it's a global CNS depressant. So it goes into every single neuron and it just pushes them down. Whereas what's supposed to happen in sleep is actually some of your neurons become more active because they're telling the other neurons to go do this and to repair and to go to bed. There's actually a lot of complex things that happen during sleep. There was a study with rats, you can look this one up, where they took rats and they didn't let them sleep for 2 weeks, and those rats died of overwhelming infections because your sleep is so necessary for all of your things. So I knew a physician who believed that fibromyalgia, which is a disease I have also, was related to lack of sleep. And I wouldn't be surprised, because in fibromyalgia you have a lot of little A waves instead of the actual deep sleep that you're supposed to get, the nice beautiful delta waves, and you know, your REM and all that other stuff. Yeah. So alcohol 4 to 6 hours before bed, because otherwise you're going to wake up 4 hours later after it's worn off. If you take it right before bed, you're going to wake up again when it wears off because that faucet wasn't off. So, in bed, do you play video games, use your cell phone, watch TV? And I'm guilty of this as well. I think that at least you should try, people who have insomnia should at least trial a period doing the right thing before giving up. And then if it doesn't make a difference for you, it doesn't make a difference. But the medical recommendation is bed is for sleeping and sex only. So don't do any of that other stuff in bed, because you've heard of Pavlov's dog experiments where he like rung a bell and they salivated. your body is very like that, right? So you want your body to see bed and think sleep. You don't want your body to see bed and think, oh yay, it's time to watch TV or whatever, right? Because then it won't sleep. So another way to get your body to wind down is to do sleep rituals. You know what that is? So relaxing stretches, breathing, something you do every single night before you go to bed. I used to tell myself a bedtime story while listening to music, and that helped a lot for a long time. There was a period of time where I had to try everything. I had to do every single thing. And in addition to doing every single thing, I was also on sleeping medication. Now I'm on some of the things and some sleeping medication. It takes, sleep is tough. Sleep is a tough thing. Yes, if you watch ASMR or something else like that, put on a blue screen, but you know all that already. A dark screen to make it not blue. Yep, exactly. So, do you use a sleep diary, Fitbit, or other tracker? Okay. And sometimes people can obsess over those and it can make it worse because you can be unhappy, like, oh, I'm not getting the amount of sleep. But sometimes it can be helpful because it can be realistic and give you a realistic idea of what is going on in your body. What's your diet like? How much of your plate is vegetables? It should be half, and I'm talking, and by the way, potatoes and corn don't count. Nothing that's white or yellow counts. It has to be dark colors, real food colors. The reason I'm asking you that is because there are some foods that actually do affect your sleep. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed that, like the tryptophan in the turkey after you have a Thanksgiving dinner, that affects your sleep. But that's a different thing. I guess that affects your sleep in a positive way. Look up the Mediterranean diet. Yeah. We'll do a diet consultation some other time, but that's one. And then how often are you exercising? Do you exercise during the morning or the evening? Some people can't exercise in the evening without getting too many endorphins going and then they can't sleep. That's why I ask. And some people need to because it wears their muscles out and brain out. Makes them go to sleep. So, a couple more questions. Do you snore? Do you feel tired, fatigued, or sleepy during the daytime? Has anyone observed you stop breathing during your sleep? Do you ever randomly fall asleep? Even if you have slept 12 hours or 10 hours before, the night before? Do you have high blood pressure? Or are you treated for high blood pressure? Is your BMI over 35? How about your age? Are you over 50? And are you male? Let's measure your neck circumference, okay? Let's do our physical exam now. Because this is going to give us some information on sleep apnea, which I also have. So first I'm going to listen to your breathing, make sure all of that is normal. Okay, go ahead and take a deep breath in. And again, deep breath in. And please breathe out after breathing in. Deep breath in and out. And again, in and out. Okay, I'm going to stand up and listen to you back here, behind your back. Deep breath in and out. And again, deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. Okay. And over here on the other side, I'm just going to put my hand on your shoulder for stability here. Deep breath in and out. And deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. In and out. And out. In and out. Perfect. Alrighty. Yeah, I totally messed up my hair leaning sideways. We're very real here. Okay, I'd like to measure your neck, okay? I'm just gonna go in a little back here. Get my little measuring tape here. Just gonna measure around your neck. So what I'm looking for is if it's more than 16 inches, because that puts you at increased risk of sleep apnea.
We can do a body mass index visit sometime, yeah, where we do weight and girth and we try to measure all of your things.
Yeah, we can do that. So, I'd like to listen to your heart also. Okay, and can I have your radial arteries? That's your wrist. Okay. Alrighty. How likely are you to doze off or fall asleep in any of the following situations? And 0 to 3. 3 is a high chance of dozing, 0 would never dozing. If you're sitting and reading, 0 to 3. If you're watching TV. If you're sitting inactive in a public place, theater, or meeting. As a passenger in a car for an hour without a break. Lying down to rest in the afternoon. Sitting and talking to someone. Sitting quietly after a lunch without alcohol. In a car while stopped for a few minutes in the traffic while you're driving. So that's called the Epworth Sleepiness Scale. It helps if we're doing referrals. So these last two scales I did, one of them is called the Stop Bang. That's for sleep apnea, and one of them is the Epworth Sleepiness Scale. And that kind of helps us take a picture at first how severe the sleep situation is, or what kind of treatment would be best, because so your sleep situation problems are just as valid if you have insomnia as if you have narcolepsy. It's just that it's a different severity for the kind of treatment. So, you might want a more invasive treatment versus a less invasive treatment. I don't know, sometimes people try to score themselves up to be more severe because they think people will take them more seriously. And unfortunately, some doctors are like that. But also, unfortunately, a lot of patients don't realize that the more things that get done to you, sometimes the worse things get. So sometimes it doesn't help. But yeah, so just always try to be super honest if you can with your provider. And if they're not paying attention to you and your problems because you're not dying, then that's not the provider you want. You want then a preventative health provider like moi, who cares about you just being miserable and not dying. Healthcare.byjenfinelli.com. I do sleep consultations for telehealth, by the way. So, and I do prescribe medications for it too. But here's the thing. All these things that we've talked about are things that you can start with before you talk about things like medications, right? And I have a couple things that you can try that I'd like to show you, okay? Just a couple things that you can try first. Let me just, excuse me, your hair looks so lovely, but I'm just gonna mess with it. Since we know each other well, and since I know you don't mind. There's just a lot. It must be a little bit annoying to have it all in your face like that. That stuff. That's a beautiful and interesting barrette you've got there, though. The one with the white rim looks really neat. Okay. Can you see? These are some apps that you can take a look at. There are binaural beats, words, music, and sounds to help you sleep with Pieces. You can try Sleep Time, which does sleep cycle analysis, also free. Relax Melodies has 4 brainwave beats, 52 ambient sounds and melodies. Sleep Bot is a motion and sound tracker, smart alarm, ambient soundtracks. Sleepmaker Rain has 3 different kinds of rainfall, if that's something you're into. And there's other apps with money, but I'm not going to talk to you about those because no one's paying me to. I have another one that I wanted to show you though, that I think is going to be especially helpful. This is one I used to recommend all of my patients try before we move on with the sleep studies. So, and I still am going to have you start a sleep study, just because of some of the other things you answered, but it's possible to have more than one sleep disturbance. It's possible for you to have insomnia, which is going to be helped by these things. Insomnia is helped by apps. Sleep apnea is helped by a machine. And it's possible to have both things. I have both things. It's also possible to have a circadian rhythm disorder and still need evaluation with a sleep specialist. And it's possible to have, I don't think you can have narcolepsy and insomnia, but who knows? That I don't know. But it's possible to have a lot going on, right? So these are, that's why cheating on scales doesn't help you, because a different thing may need a different thing to treat it. You could get treated for sleep apnea, but still have terrible sleep because you really needed help with your insomnia. You could get treated for narcolepsy and your insomnia isn't fixed because the underlying behavioral changes weren't made. So you got to get the right thing for the right illness. So, did this not work? I downloaded this before our visit because I was specifically thinking about you. But what happened was my internet didn't work. So, that's uncool. But that's okay. My internet's working now. So, let me just show you this lovely little app. This is called the CBTI Coach. This is what it's, what's that called? This is what its little icon looks like. So, it's the I didn't get to trace it, but it's the CBTI Coach. There's a EULA that you have to answer, mostly telling how it's not diagnosing or treating your illness, because it doesn't replace professional treatment. You need to talk with your healthcare provider. And then it's got all these things that you can set up, and it will help you figure out what is your best bedtime and wake time and how long you should spend in bed, because it's going to help you calculate something called your sleep efficiency. And at first it's going to change your sleep a little bit. It can be a little uncomfortable at first, but the goal in increasing your sleep efficiency is so that the time you spend in bed, you've trained your body to actually fall asleep. Because some of us have trained our bodies to have very poor sleep efficiency, where about 50% of the time we're in bed, we are asleep. Other people have really good sleep efficiency, 80 to 90%. And so your goal with increasing your sleep efficiency, sometimes, and one way to shock the system, I talk to your provider and check your work safety before you do anything like this, but one way to shock the system into increasing your sleep efficiency, and this is something I'll do sometimes for people, and I'll help them set up exactly the regimen, is we will calculate exactly how much time they're actually sleeping. Maybe they're only sleeping 2 hours. So the first night, I only let them be in bed for 2 hours, because you're shocking the system into having almost 100% sleep efficiency. And then the next night, we increase it, and they're only allowed to be in bed while they're sleeping until the body gets used to realizing bed is for sleeps. And then you have a good sleep efficiency all night long. That's a truncated version of it. I would do a slightly more clinical version, but you can actually do a weaker version of that for yourself with the app to increase your sleep efficiency. So you would update your prescribed bedtime. And so this one doesn't have information since I don't have sleep diaries, but what you would do 5 entries per week, and then it will generate a sleep prescription for you, and it'll tell you what time you should go to bed and what time you should get up. And that's kind of cool. So, and then it'll give you this sleep prescription so that you can improve your efficiency. So that's super cool. So that's the first thing you do, is you keep a diary of your sleep right here, and it's got this snazzy little graph to help you with. The second thing is there's actually tools to help prevent insomnia in the future, create new sleep habits. These are the ones that I told you about, and you can remind yourself some of these. And to quiet your mind so you can wind down And they have includes, which I love, a progressive muscle relaxation script. That's one of my most popular videos, actually. It's good stuff. Guided imagery and body scan. Like, this is really good for relaxation. These are real relaxation tools. And to prevent insomnia in the future. So as you can find how things are getting worse, you can take this quiz and it can help give you ideas on how to get better. This app was created by the Department of Defense because our soldiers have a lot of trouble sleeping. You can also learn about your sleep too. And Sleep 101, habits in sleep, other things like that. Alcohol use, a lot of this stuff that I have told you. But you can always get more information. So I highly recommend you try that app. Because why wouldn't you? If it could help you with sleep. And that's really a treatment for insomnia. Sleep medications are not supposed to long-term treat insomnia for the most part. There are exceptions. Some of us with severe mental illness fall in those exceptions. But most of the time, they're supposed to help jolt you back to go to bed because your work schedule doesn't allow you to survive a ridiculous sleep efficiency regimen. They're supposed to help you. Although don't wear the CBTI sleep efficiency regimen won't be ridiculous like the one that I said. They'll be like, mine is very aggressive because I'm a doctor. Doctors do bad stuff to you. This one will be reasonable. But most people, the medication is supposed to help you get back on track while you fix the behavioral things that are tricking your body into not sleeping. And then once that's all back on track, then you go ahead and get off of it and live a normal life. Shouldn't be on it all the time. If you have a mental illness and there's something else going on, and we're not talking about insomnia, we're talking about here like generalized anxiety disorder, PTSD, nightmare disorder. Sometimes MDD can make you sleep too little. Often it makes you sleep too much. All of those kind of things you gotta address, with your behavioral health provider. So I hope those things help. But you want to go get your sleep study done? Alright, let's knock it out of the park. That's perfect. We'll just have you go ahead and start on that paperwork while I go ahead and set some stuff up over here. So I know you already started getting cozy, but I'm going to have you get up. And we're going to go ahead and snake these leads down your shirt and through your pants, all the way down to your legs, okay? These are the leads that we use to check for restless leg syndrome. Basically, we can measure how much you're moving in the night. One major thing we do is we connect it exactly to the muscle that tends to move a lot. Okay, so yeah, you're doing great there. Just right through your shirt and all the way down. That's perfect. I'll help you out here. Yeah, you're doing great. Hold on, it can get a little tangly. I'm just going to put this belt on you. Kind of helps hold everything, together. Velcro everything on. Yeah, absolutely. You just got to make sure everything's connected, right? You're like, I don't know what has wires. Don't have anything clever to say. Don't say anything at all, right? Let me move my chair over here. I'm going to have you sit down. I'm just setting up over here. I'm going to have you sit down and then we're going to go ahead and put these leads. Yeah, so that's just where we plug in all the different EKG leads. Or sorry, I'm not EKG leads, EEG. It's similar to an EEG. A sleep study is a little different. It's kind of more zoomed in, more like high res and EEG. So for example, one page of sleep on that I'm going to connect you to is 30 seconds of sleep, called an epic. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark your head right now. What I'm doing is I'm drawing reference points on your head. That lets me do this look back feature on the recording. So if one lead goes bad, I can figure out, where they came from, what happened. So, but yeah, like I was saying, one page of sleep is 30 seconds of sleep, right? It's called an epoch. EEG, it's kind of more broader. Pages are more time than that. So you let me know if anything's uncomfortable. Just gonna go ahead and keep marking my little red marker here. And we'll go ahead and put these on your head. You have lovely hair. So, the occipital leads I'm going to put on the back of your head. They're going to check for sleep onset. As you start to go to sleep, what's called your alpha pattern disappears. Then you get slow rolling eye movements, and then that's stage 1 sleep. The occipital leads on the back find that alpha sleep, where you close your eyes and you're just starting to go to sleep, but you're not really asleep yet, right? So when I look at you and I look at the patterns that are going to show up on this, basically sleep EEG, EEG being an encephaloelectrogram, basically reading the tiny electrical pulses that come off your brain. So your brain actually has an action potential that is strong enough we can feel the electricity through your scalp. I always thought that was kind of crazy and kind of wonderful. So, just going to kind of look right here behind your ear. Again, you let me know if anything's uncomfortable. Now I'm putting the adhesive on to kind of help, help my leads to stick. So like I was saying, alpha intrusions kind of just look like you're lying there with your eyes closed, not actually sleeping. And it's very, very light sleep. It's not good quality sleep yet. So your central and frontal leads, that's on the middle and front of your head. Occipital is the back of your head. Sorry, I was using too much medical lingo there, but the occipital leads on the back of your head are for those alpha patterns, right? And the central and frontal leads pick up your stage 2 sleep here in the front, right? Primarily. So that's where we're looking for K complexes and sleep spindles. So, yep, I'm just setting some things up over here. Don't worry about it. So, alpha intrusions are actually pretty interesting for patients with fibromyalgia. Those patients are stuck in alpha sleep, where they have these alpha intrusions. So, if you have fibromyalgia, sometimes you won't even demonstrate signs of those alpha intrusions until the second night of sleep study. But this is important because somebody might be the entire night in alpha, right? Not really getting sleep. And that's why they'll wake really easy. They'll be hyper alert, kind of feel like something's going to attack them, and be in pain. A lot of people have a lot of suffering at night with fibromyalgia, myself included. So I've definitely dealt with that. So it's fascinating how little many physicians know, unfortunately, about fibromyalgia. So I'm hoping that I can help you, escape some of the suffering that I've had to deal with. Basically, doing this sleep study will kind of help us to identify and better diagnose your fibromyalgia and see how we can fix, the sleep problem. So, fibromyalgia, you can actually really, it's almost, the sleep medicine is almost to the point that you can diagnose it. That doesn't hurt, right? Good. Basically, you can diagnose it when people are sleeping. So, sometimes, and a lot of doctors don't know this, sometimes fibro patients won't demonstrate signs until the second night on the sleep study, but that's common for other parasomnias too, like sleep talking, sleepwalking, REM behavior disorder, those kind of things. So I remember when we had our visit, I talked about Xyrem with fibromyalgia. Xyrem fixes those alpha complexes by promoting delta sleep. That's how it works. So I was very fortunate when I had to do my sleep study for fibromyalgia and for my sleep problems. The tech was so knowledgeable. Somebody who had been working on this for 20 years or more in the sleep field, had his own company at one point before he went to help out the military. I started to cry actually at one point when we were talking, because so many physicians don't know anything, and they didn't really blow me off, but they were not helpful. And this guy, who wasn't a physician, who was a sleep tech, he knew all of these different studies that I had been reading and studying as a patient. Unfortunately, sometimes patients, you gotta educate us sometimes. We learn from you, and sometimes you learn from us. It is a mutual exchange, which is why it's important for me not to be arrogant around patients, right? Because who knows the patient's body best, right? Is this okay over here? Perfect. So, he told me a lot of good stories too. He talked about, because he knew the gentleman who did the Xyrem study. He knew a lot of these older sleep medicine pioneers, right? Because he used to have a company in that. So, he talked about how in one fibromyalgia study, where the patients were sleeping at the sleep center every single night. One day, one of the test subjects just disappeared, and what had happened was he had joined track, and all his pain and everything went away. His fibromyalgia really improved. His sleep really improved. So, exercising makes a big difference. So, sleep medicine is in everything, every specialty. It makes such a difference. Even like you think nephrology, you think dialysis, people who are on dialysis, a lot because they've got kidney failure from their high blood pressure, right? Well, your high blood pressure is affected if you have sleep apnea, because you not breathing and holding that air in puts a lot of pressure on your lungs, puts a lot of pressure on your heart, right? So rheumatology, obviously, you got the fibromyalgia, the inflammation. So there was a study even at one point where they sleep deprived rats for several weeks, and those rats ended up getting insane infections and dying, right? Sleep deprivation is a huge deal, and we inflict it on ourselves without much of a concern. So I got some of these on your neck. These obviously track some of your breathing. I'm going to go ahead and just get some on your face too. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, it's crazy. And then sleep affects diabetes too, because if it's affecting your immune system, that attacks your pancreas, right? Your pancreas can't function. Everything. And it even plays into things like health disparities, because people who are working shift jobs, people who are poorer, people who are, whose employers don't care very much about their sleep health, a lot of those lower income people tend to have, also because of poor diet, right? Because they've got poor health education. But, if you're not getting sleep, you're not getting a good diet, you do end up getting these horrible diseases. Really, the best medicine is sleep and healthy food, like vegetables. It's the things that, our moms could have told us. It's crazy because when you don't sleep, it even affects your weight gain, because it affects your leptin, ghrelin, and growth hormones. There are documented studies where people who were the same as other people, except that they didn't sleep as much, were on average much heavier. right? Now, there's some confounding factors, right? Because being a heavier woman also causes you to not breathe as well, which causes you not sleep as much as you can. Women, a lot of times, we don't see their sleep apnea as well on their side. It's when they're on their back. You kind of have the weight of the breasts. That's when you have the stuff. People who, even, talking about the importance of sleep medicine, even people who pee all night long because the negative pressure in their chest, positive pressure in their chest from the sleep apnea, right, from the air getting stuck, they get better on the machine too. Then they have less pressure in their body and less pressure in their abdomen. It's crazy. So, I know I talk a lot. It makes the time fly. You just take some good deep breaths. We've got you all situated now. I'm very excited to help you tonight. Okay, I'm just going to start running over some tests with you. Okay, you just get comfortable. You're going to hear my voice through that speaker over there. Yep. Exactly. So you just get comfortable. Can I get you a glass of water? Fan, white noise? No? Alright, perfect. Alright, sweetie, are you comfortable? Perfect. You can hear me just fine through the speaker? Wonderful. I know it's going to sound just like I'm whispering right here next to your ear. So we're going to do some tests first so that we can standardize our machinery, okay? Just so we can see what your patterns look like, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have you lie there with your eyes open and stare straight ahead. Don't move your eyes. Perfect. Okay. The next thing I'm going to have you do is look to the left. All right, and then look to the right. Look back to the left. Look back to the right. And that's moving only your eyes. Don't move your head. That's okay. We can do it again. That's my fault. Using only your eyes, look to the left. Look to the right. Look to the left. Look to the right. Excellent. All right. The next thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you close your eyes. Perfect. Just lay still. Just close your eyes. Wonderful. Can I have you take a couple really deep breaths for me? That's lovely. Okay. All right, sweetie, a few more tests. I want you look with your eyes up and look with your eyes down. Again, up and down. Go ahead and blink your eyes slowly 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Grit your teeth. Or smile. Go ahead and smile. All right. Go ahead and hold your breath for 10 seconds. Perfect. Now I'm going to have you flex your right hand. Flex your left hand. And I'm going to have you turn to your left side. And turn over to your right side. Perfect. Very well done. All right. Now, since we're doing a little bit of investigation into restless leg syndrome today, can I have you pump your left foot down, kind of like you're pushing down on a gas pedal? Wonderful, well done. And then your right foot push down like you're pumping on a gas pedal. Excellent. Very, very good. All right. Wait just a second while I do a little more calibration. All right, that should be it. Sleep well. still sleep. I know it's a little uncomfortable. I'm just gonna pull off the ones I can pull off, right? And then you'll take the rest off at home, okay? Fun fact, dish soap works really well to remove these. You do dish soap and then you use the shampoo. It just gets some of them nasty, okay? Absolutely. Your hair's still lovely though. Alright. Once I'm done with this, I'll just have you finish filling out your survey about your night, and then have you on your way, okay? Alright. I don't know what's very talkative. But we appreciate you spending your time with us. Goodbye now. Don't forget to follow up in 10 days for the results, okay? Alright, bye.
If this helped you help someone else, there's a list of causes at becominghero.ninja. And if you need more help or you just want some bonus gifts, please check out all the cool links in the description for mental health resources or free science fiction. Dream well.